Yo, what's going on, guys? I am back with another Among Us character. So today's Inktober word for the prompt was fancy. And I am going to tell you now, this was probably the word that I struggled with the most so far through the entire prompt list. And I had no idea what I was gonna do. But I started thinking, and I'm like, man, I'm looking at some people's posts on Instagram and whatnot, and I didn't necessarily like the direction that everybody was taking, and that direction being kind of like, I guess, fancy dresses, fancy clothing, so on and so forth. And some people did like little frogs. The frogs looked really cool, but I was like, all right, I've already seen like 5 frogs. So I was gonna do a frog. Mind you, I'm doing an Among Us character. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, how do I make this kind of unique? And so I was like, man, I've been sticking with the theme of cartoons or video games and things of that nature. So I typed in Google 90s cartoons, and I'm just kind of looking at them. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, who out of all of these characters is kind of on the fancy side? And didn't really like any of the options that I saw until I saw Dexter's Laboratory. And I was like, ooh, I could do Dexter. But Dexter's kind of plain, and there's kind of not much to him besides his lab coat and his orange hair. So it would have been really plain, really basic, really kind of boring in a sense. And so with that being said, I decided to do Mankdark. So this is my Among Us character, Mankdark, and that is what I've come up with. And I love this drawing. I've been saying this is like, oh, this is my favorite drawing. This actually might be my favorite drawing so far. Not because of the detail, but just because of the idea, the thought behind it. I'm really excited for the Mankdark because it, I actually I put a nose, I put, lips. He's super obviously geeky and nerdy, but he's pretty proper as well. So he's, I guess you can relate that to being fancy in a sense. I don't know. So, but yeah, that is my character, and I'm sticking to it. So, really excited for this one. I love Dexter's Laboratory. Dexter's Laboratory is probably one of my all-time favorite cartoons on Cartoon Network growing up to watch when I was a little younger. Dragon Ball Z is probably my favorite all time, but when it came down to the OG kind of cartoons, definitely loved Dexter's Laboratory. Powerpuff Girls is good too. Like Powerpuff Girls is awesome. That's a sleeper right there. But yeah, decided to do Dexter's Laboratory. So I was excited because I was like, man, if I'm not mistaken, I think I've seen some Dexter Laboratory episodes on, I can't remember if it was on Amazon Prime or if it was on Netflix or something. Can't really remember, but maybe for a date night, me and my wife will watch a couple episodes or something, kind of reminisce from our childhood. So yeah, the detail on this isn't crazy, but it is enough to make a distinct character, and you can clearly see that I'm doing Mankdark from Dexter's Laboratory. So the hair gives it away, the glasses, kind of the clothing. Now, again, I mention this every time I do a drawing, a submission for the word prompt, the drawing prompt. But I will not be coloring these until I am completely done with the series. So I know there's no color on these, but there will be at some point. Just kind of got to take my word for it. I will be coloring these with the Ohuhu markers, the alcohol-based markers, and get that done so I can blend. I love those markers. Markers are my favorite to use. His hair is black with this streak of white to make it seem like it's shining. So I'm gonna color in his hair black. I've officially finished one of my sketchbooks. This is my first sketchbook ever that I've actually filled in the entire sketchbook. So that was exciting. I'm on a new sketchbook. I have like 10 sketchbooks at the house that I just never filled. I would buy like one and then do 2 or 3 pages of it and then go buy another one. Why? I have no idea. Or maybe I got a couple as giveaways or raffles from, art stores or college, whatever it was. Got a lot of free materials in college. So yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff, but the amount of sketchbooks that I have at the house doesn't match up to the amount of drawings that I've done in them. So I'm here trying to get those filled in. I'm going to use the Faber-Castell fine liners for my details in the background. So I don't want to mess up the background, and it's so much detail. So I'm not going to use my brush pen. But I'm going to use this these fine liners for that detail. And I'm going to use the thicker one for the actual outline of the lab behind him. So this is his laboratory, Mankdark's, from the outside of his house. And his house would technically be right behind him. So I got a little piece of it hanging out and then his garage hanging out on the side here. But the lab that he has in competition with Dexter, I think Mankdark's lab looks way better. I think that's kind of the point of him and Dexter kind of fighting over who has the best lab, who's the best scientist, stuff like that in the TV show. But I really loved watching it growing up. Such a cool, unique show. I have had quite a few days where I've started drawing, and yes, this is my lunch break, so kind of don't eat lunch most times, or I'll eat and work at the same time. So yeah, this is my lunch break, but I typically always end up with some sort of interruption, whether it's somebody walking in the classroom while I'm recording a video, or somebody knocking on my door, or my alarm for my class that starts in 10 or 15 minutes will go off, or like just happened 2 or 3 minutes ago, my walkie-talkie will go off. And so, yeah, the amount of interruptions I've had doing these is not the amount that I would like it to be, which would be 0. But it is what it is. A lot of these lines here, I'm not gonna do in black because they're actually specifically in just color and they're not actually outlined. So I might not do those, but I'm going to finish this actual outline of my background. And with that, I will switch over to my super fine liner. I'll do that flamingo in the front of his yard, and I'll call this one done, because everything else will be during the coloring process, which I am not gonna do until I am done with Inktober. Oops, wrong one. I've been drawing with the Prismacolor, the Col-Erase marker or color pencils, and I've been doing that just so I can. One, I think it looks way better than just regular graphite pencil, but the foundational lines and stuff like that, giving it to be color, I think just looks way better. So give that fence a little bit of detail, and then just kind of do some grass marks here. In the actual background, in the grass, they actually have like how the lawnmower kind of gives you 2 different lines, like baseball field mowing lines, 2 different greens, but there's no actual border, so I'm gonna leave it like that. That, my friends, ends our day 7, which is fancy. And that's the end of my Among Us, Dexter's Laboratory, Mankdark Among Us character. So I appreciate you guys watching. See you guys tomorrow with our next day.